Yeah, I was wondering, could you tell me what you think punk's political views are? Political view of punk?
Yeah, punk rockers.
I have no idea.
Punk rock, anarchy. There has always been an association made, but why? Punks stay together in their own world, and the percent of punks that want anarchy is so minute that the association shouldn't exist. In this documentary, we will question common people to see the public's view of punks. Then we will interview punks themselves. Make your own conclusions.
Recording?
Yeah.
What do you think the political views of punks are?
Of punks?
Yeah, like this guy.
Political views of punks. I guess just, I don't know, I'm not a punk, I couldn't really tell you. I guess...
From the way they act, what would you think it is?
Political views meaning what?
Like, what the overall, what they're striving for, what their attitude is. Like.
I'd say, like, everybody would say anarchy, you know, but I don't know if it's like anarchy or, but what would you say the political views of punks are?
Over there.
Yeah, I don't know anything personally.
Well, from the way they act, you know, I'm sure you've seen them walking down the street and stuff.
Walking down the street like normal people.
I mean, from what you hear and stuff, do you have any idea of what you think their political views may be?
Well, I know they could be diehard Republicans or something. I don't know.
Like,
Alright. What do you think punk is about when you see someone, a punk? What do you think?
I don't think there is any certain political view of the word punk. There's a punk fashion that I see. That's really, I don't have any knowledge of their political view.
Do the kids in that fashion seem to cause more trouble than other kids or anything?
No, not at all. They seem to cultivate with each other. They don't usually cause any problems to us.
Ram, you have big questions? Yeah.
Instead of spreading anarchy, punks gather in clubs such as this one, Nightclub 930 in Washington, D.C.
It's alright, just say.
I heard there was some cool people from New York, the trash place. We're in anarchy. I'm a Jew. Punk rock is my life.
Our first question for our guest punks is, if you had to choose a governmental society, what would it be?
If I had to pick a governmental society, it would probably be communist or socialist. Probably because that's the one that would work the best. I mean, because anarchy wouldn't work. And, I don't know, democratic would probably turn out like the United States. And, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't choose either of those, like, policies to be for a government. I'd choose socialism as a government because socialism is less extreme than communism, and it also incorporates capitalism, and it's been proven time and again that capitalism and communism together work very well, more so than democracy and communism, but like a separate.
And I pick anarchist because without a government. I mean, I think the government's like one of our main problems.
Our second question is, are you active with your political views? If so, how?
I'm not very active with my political views because I don't do very many protests or anything. But like I'm outspoken with them, and I like write things about them and everything. And I mean, most people that know me know my political views, but I'm not like active like some sort of like radical protester type person.
I'm active in my political views. I'm sorry to say that I was, I'm not right now currently a member of Positive Force, but I used to be a couple years ago. I work for CCMV, which is Community for Creative Nonviolence. I help support the Clean Water Act, and I used to do a couple lobbying groups for CCMV.
Nah, not really.
How would you change the U.S. government?
Well, I wouldn't change anything that it's based on, really, because I mean the original plan was pretty good, but I just try to make them follow what they said they were going to do, because they're just really hypocritical, because they write up all this stuff about equality and then they don't really go through with any of it.
If I could change the government of the U.S., I would make it more of a democratic society than what we have now as a republic democracy, in which we really, like, supposedly we have a lot of say in what goes on, but we really don't. And I would make the elections completely directly from the voters and not by delegations of the votes.
To see other people's like sides, like points of views, instead of just deciding one thing.
Is music influential on political views?
The music I listen to is usually, if it's political, which I mean it's not most of the time, but if it's political, it's because of my political views. It doesn't change them, and it doesn't like create new political ideas that I have. It's like because of them.
The music I listen to does influence my political views. Bands such as Crass and Conflict have a lot to say about what's wrong with today's society, and through their music they let out their angers and frustrations about the society. And also their record covers and in their records and their sleeves also give all sorts of information and ways to change it.
Yeah, yes it does.
You have truly connection, and your is good and what you say is. Why you feel liberty? Why you come out and let other people do so whatever happens is fine. In whatever reason they find, whatever could you don't anybody on the question, you do a question like here to that. What do you worry?
The reason why I do that is because it's hard to hear the subdoors for kites. I guess in a whole ponder.
Most candidates need remaination.
No, in some way clear right now, it's not internal. My different I not said. When they're going to dash for things and there is synthesis pretty maybe here's no result be candy. You know, dark side come being be clear so opportunities. And more these you make method on hard be. Plural these has bigly you has are minority on sins and the people not and around the middle nerd. So I'm the public of the difference dead. Well, I'm going to basically first. You can why person on some obvious. It's hard to know people that's some here.
To work that's being involved in kind of that my people in fast can just look and listen. I mean, it's just no real you can listen.
Basically, it's working because it's not realized at all. It came. The original Skinner music was soul and reggae and ska. They were highly influenced by the West Indian blacks, so it was not racially motivated until the 70s when it was sort of revived and it was altered and distorted.
How do you feel about the link between punk and anarchy?
Well, I guess, I mean, some people make the link between punk rock and anarchy, and it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of justified because there are a lot of people like running around wearing combat boots and going, yay, anarchy, it's so cool. But I mean, there are more people I know that people would call punks that don't believe in anarchy more than the ones that do, like, truly believe that it could work.
The link made between punk rock and anarchy, I think, is a horrible misconception. I know so many people who are punk rock and aren't anarchists, and yet I know a lot of people who are punk rock and are anarchists. Basically, I think people make that assumption just because we look different from the society's norm, and they just assume that since we look different and we lead a different lifestyle, that we're quote-unquote anarchists.
I don't know. I think it's kind of stupid myself because, I mean, you figure if you're a punk, you like gotta write anarchy everywhere, and everywhere you go, you see punk anarchy.
What kinds of people give you a hard time about the way you look?
Well, of course, because I mean, usually, especially in school, and like if you're, you know, if you walk into a store or something, if you don't look like everyone else, people are going to stare at you, and you know, usually they'll make some sort of comment like, "Why don't you look like the rest of everybody else?" But I know people do sort of comment on the way I look, but it doesn't bother me.
I used to get a hard time from my peers, some of the people I work with, but not so much anymore. I think that it's being accepted more. I'm being accepted more than I used to be. When I first started radically changing, I was about 11, and that's pretty young for most people, and a lot of my peers just didn't understand what was going on, and I acted and believed in different things than they did, and they couldn't quite catch the grasp of my activities, and so they just kind of shied away from me and didn't accept me and gave me a really hard time. But now that people kind of basically know who I am and what my beliefs are, and they've accepted me a lot more.
Yeah, I do get problems sometimes. They're just usually ignorant people that don't understand, just older people, stupid people.
Do you think the government we have today is doing a good job?
No, that's kind of a stupid question. No, it's obviously not doing a very good job because, I mean, everything they said that was going to happen when they drew up the plan for the United States, I mean, none of it really is working. I mean, nobody's really as happy as they could be with a perfect government.
The government we have today is doing an okay job. I would very much like to compare our government today to the Catholic Church back in the medieval times. It's becoming very corrupt and more engulfed with its money and its power and it's pomp and circumstance rather than doing the job, and it really just doesn't even care about the people anymore. It just cares about themselves, and well, I guess that's about it.
What is your idea of an ideal society?
An ideal society? It's where the government would be as the least restrictive that could possibly be, without the citizens just totally abusing everybody else. And I mean, the governmental system, just as little as possible to keep order, I don't know, just sort of fair and equal for everyone.
My idea of an ideal society would be where everyone would work for the good of the state, and it wouldn't just be, I would like everyone to have everything, basically the same, but that's kind of idealistic. And in a way, I mean, like a socialist society would be great, but again, I'd probably want capitalism to be intertwined with it just because it's more realistic. And, if you work for the good of the state and the more you produce and the better quality of what you do is, then you should be rewarded for that. And therefore, it would drive everyone to work harder and make everything better. So everyone would be striving for like a reward, kind of.
When everyone could be united and help and trust, each other.
Many articles have been published pointing out the faults of punk and giving them a bad reputation.
Alright. Yeah, question. Outside. Can you come outside? Can we ask you outside?
As these punks have stated, most are misconceptions, and in fact, punks are involved with many helpful organizations. Perhaps people like Tipper Gore should consult the punks and see what they are really about.
As you have seen from this documentary, there is more to punk than anarchy and violence. Believe it.
Wow. Directly out the front.